Welcome to the show and congratulations on your incredible success. You must be so proud of yourself. You look amazing, by the way, a former shadow of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like just eating this way has really helped my skin and complexion a lot over the time that I've been doing it.
Did you know you were such a handsome guy?
I my wife tells me a lot. So if I take her word for it, then yes.
Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning. How long have you been overweight?
Every photo that's ever been taken of me my whole life, I would say that I was overweight. Throughout high school, it was managed some because I played football and I wrestled, but I was still, one of the biggest kids in my school. And then once that ended, sports ended, and I went to college, I really started to pack on the weight.
Did it have any ramifications for you in terms of your health or your emotional health?
I mean, being overweight obviously does have a mental toll on you. Every decision you make, every time you meet somebody, you kind of question whether or not they're judging you based on your appearance, things like that. Big things that it really affected me. I had very severe sleep apnea that I was diagnosed with that back in like 2007. And then as the last few years, when I really started to get heavy, I had a lot of fluid retention, like in my calves, and had kind of some sores that probably were signs of issues that I kind of ignored or didn't really. I never saw a doctor because I always assumed they would just say, well, it's because you're overweight, lose weight. And that's all I'd been trying to do is lose weight over years, without any success.
When was your first attempt at weight loss that you can remember?
The first real attempt I can remember was really as far back as like 2000, 2001, just out of high school, like sophomore year of college. I was in the mid 300s at that time, and started taking a pill program. I think they're still around. It's called Advocare. That I did pretty good with it, but at the time it had ephedra in its whatever formula. And while I was taking it, that became illegal, or they weren't able to do that anymore. And kind of everything fell apart after that, but that's the first time I can really remember having a go at it, other than like wrestling in high school.
Is your family overweight, like the family you were born into?
Yeah. Right now, I think I have 5 siblings, 4 brothers and a sister, and all of us have dealt with weight issues, all my siblings.
Right. Have they noticed your success?
Oh yeah, it's pretty hard not to notice. I mean, I went from being the biggest one to one of the smaller ones, I suppose, over the course of the last 18 months or year.
Have any of them decided to follow your lead?
No, not yet. It's the diet seems so extreme to people from the outside, but what I've had family members, my wife's parents, they've started eating this way because of health issues, and some of their family members were suffering from some health issues. So they did switch to eating a plant-based diet. And then my younger brother actually has been eating a vegan diet for a couple years now, but it isn't like a health food vegan diet. I mean, he's been doing some things more recently to lose weight because he doesn't want me to be less than him. Like when I got up within about 10 pounds of his weight, he magically started to lose more weight. So that kind of encouraged him, I think, to clean up his act.
So what changed? Like, did you just wake up one morning and say, this is it, I'm tired of being this weight?
Yeah, it was slow, I guess, getting things. I mean, I knew I needed to do something, and I didn't know what to do. And I had played around with water fasting back in like 2018, 2019, but I never really figured out what to do after I water fasted. Like I thought that's a great way to lose weight, you know, because I have a problem. I eat a lot of food. So if I just remove the food from the equation, and I did lose a lot of weight, but I didn't know how to eat afterwards. So what kind of helped me this time, I guess, is that I did create this YouTube channel. I created this accountability platform for myself that I feel that really helped a lot. And so I did take some time to plan to get that going. But I kind of started everything cold turkey, I guess.
Cold tofurkey.
Tofurkey, yes.
Just kidding. What was your diet like before?
Oh, I mean, it was awful. So as part of the first month that I did my channel, I water fasted during that period, and I went back to my bank account statement, and I just kept track of the fast food that I charged for on my credit card for just me. And I recorded, you know, I kind of kept track of that, or I showed how much I spent. And in 1 month, I was spending over $400 on fast food for just myself. And that would have just been for breakfast and lunch. That didn't count the food that I would buy at a gas station on my way home, or when I got home, I would eat dinner. So I would eat a lot of food, very high calorie, highly processed foods, just not a good diet. But to get over 500 pounds, you have to eat a lot of food.
Right. And you weren't really eating probably a lot of fruits and vegetables, I'm guessing.
No, if I ever had a fruit or a vegetable, it was an accident, or it was something that, like, it was more difficult to have it removed from the meal than to just leave it on there. But like if I went to a fast food restaurant, I'd order a cheeseburger with no tomato, no lettuce. You know, the extent of my vegetables were like supreme pizzas.
You know, that was actually very funny, your line. If I ever had a fruit and vegetable, it was an accident.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was that was my diet.
You know, I even though I didn't get to 520 pounds, I was heavier because I think a lot, you know, Dr. Doug Lisle says 80% of weight is heritable, but not eating fruits and vegetables isn't a good idea, even if somebody's not overweight, just for health.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, I just avoided it. You know, I don't know. It was just something that.
How do you feel about the term food addiction? Do you think you are addicted to food or the highly processed food?
Yeah, I think that people maybe use it for a broader kind of explanation of things. I think that I was addicted to going to fast food restaurants and feeding that kind of appetite. I don't know that I'm any less addicted to food right now. I mean, everybody has to eat, and I do still enjoy eating a larger volume of food. But I think that the addiction it's the corporations in these places, they feed on your cravings more than your hunger. And so they, you know, I kind of feel like that you get stuck in that kind of trap with falling into the, you know, I never truly felt hunger before I started this diet. I always felt cravings, I guess is what I would say.
Right. Wow. So water fasting, you did it on your own without medical supervision?
Yeah, I do all my best research on YouTube, and there's lots of videos where people are doing water fasts, and they have different protocols that they drink apple cider vinegar and take electrolyte powders, and they do all these different things. And I kind of had mentioned that in the past, I had been experimenting with it, and I had done a 30-day water fast and had really great success. I saw a lot of the swelling in my legs reduce, and just felt great losing that weight. And so I decided to do a water fast again. And it's something where, knowing now, you know, that it's kind of a physiological adaptation that humans can water fast, it gives me a little more confidence in doing it, or that I had done it. But it was something where I knew I needed to reset my system. I needed to get as far away from the diet that I used to be eating and get into something different, something better. And I thought that water fasting would be the best way to do that.
Was it difficult for you to water fast? And how many days did you do it for?
It it's different kind of difficult. It's something I feel like it gets to a certain point and then it doesn't get harder after that point, you know? So if you can water fast to 7 days, then day 28 isn't necessarily any more difficult than day 8 was, but it's always, you kind of have that, you know, because we live in a society where I have to choose to water fast, where we didn't evolve in a world where you chose to water fast. We evolved in a world where we were forced to water fast. And so I think that choosing to was the more difficult thing, like seeing other people eating and not going and eating what they ate. But it also, watching people eat was a little bit kind of like living vicariously through them. I found that if I really got hungry, I would throw on a YouTube video and watch somebody eat, and I would be less hungry at the end of watching them eat, you know.
That's funny because I used to work part-time at True North, and that's all people did when they were water fasting was watch the Food Network.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and there's something about that that is therapeutic, I guess. And with my water fast, I intended to water fast the month of November. And as I got into the water fast and started feeling good, I pushed it. And I ended up, because of numbers and things, I ended up water fasting for exactly 1,000 hours. I thought that was kind of a nice number to hit, which is about 42 days that I water fasted.
That's about the limit that they do at True North, too.
Right. That was about halfway through my water fast is when I even found out about the True North clinic and kind of.
So you mean you water fasted before even hearing about True North?
Yeah, I had no idea I was going to eat a plant-based diet when I started this.
That's amazing. That is really amazing. And when you said November, was this November of 2020?
Yeah, November of 2020. Yeah.
But you had an experience water fasting before that, right?
Right. In 2018, I water fasted on my own for 30 days and sucked down apple cider vinegar and electrolyte powders and got through it. But just, I didn't know what I was going to do after the water fast. And so that's kind of where the True North came in here, is that when I did this water fast, I was kind of the same way. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to spend the next 30 days finding out exactly what I need to do after I water fast, because I know that that's what screwed me up last time. And so as I was doing research, the first thing that pops into my mind as far as the True North clinic is there was a video from Dylan from Well Your World, spent a week or so at the True North clinic, and just kind of the things he was saying really resonated with how I was feeling with my water fast. I might have been like 15 days in. And so then I was like, well, what's this True North clinic? I don't know anything about it. I've looked into a lot of water fasting things at that point, and I hadn't heard of them before. And I found out that they do medically supervised water fasts, and that they had over 20,000 patients that they had done these water fasts for. And I was like, well, let me see what they're recommending to their patients, because of anybody I've seen online, it sounds like they have as good of experience as anybody. And then I saw that they were recommending a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. And I was like, that is insane that this place that is, their main focus is water fasting at that point to me. So the idea that they would put that target on their back, like they talked about how they had police come to their door because people thought that they were starving people to death there. You know, if they already had this target on their back, why recommend such an extreme diet afterwards? And the only conclusion I could come to was that they recommend it because it works. Like that would be the only reason to recommend that.
Had you ever heard of a vegan or a plant-based diet before this?
Yeah. So I kind of mentioned my brother, he was always kind of a picky eater, and he would always kind of have something different than us at dinner, just because he'd be picky. And about a year before I started, he did like a potato diet where he ate only potatoes for a little while. And then he switched from that to eating a plant-based diet. There was some, I think Kevin Smith, Penn Jillette. There was a few people that kind of he had, and then he follows Ray Cronice and Rich Roll, I believe, kind of inspired him to start eating a vegan diet. So I had heard of it, but I kind of have always said that, like, I always assumed a vegan diet was a phase that people went through, that they just did a vegan diet as long as their body would allow them to, and then they would be forced to have to eat some sort of animal product. That I never realized that there were people out there like Dr. Lyle and Goldhammer and Mark Huberman, like people that have, and yourself even, that have been eating this way for decades. Like, I didn't really think that those people existed.
That's something. What did you do during the water fast? Were you at rest? Were you continuing what?
Very, very sedentary. Like, that is something that when I was 520 pounds, I would have claimed that I was active, just because I was mobile still. But to get to that weight, to eat that amount of food, you end up being a very sedentary person. And so when I started the water fast, I didn't really change my life up. I still kind of sat at my desk at work and went home and didn't do anything overly that would overly exert myself. And I also kind of knew or seen, that you may feel great on day 10 or day 13 of your water fast and think you can conquer the world, and you go outside and you do gardening or you clean up the storage room of your house. But then day 18 rolls around and that work you did 5 days ago catches up to you. So I was pretty conscious that I didn't increase my activity while I was water fasting.
That's great. Here's a question from a live viewer, Kathy, who wants to know, what does hunger feel like for you? And do you eat when you're hungry, or do you allow yourself to stay hungry at all times? I'm guessing that's when you were fasting, maybe.
Yeah. I kind of alluded to it, that I feel like I always thought I was hungry all the time. And I think it was those cravings. I was always craving something all the time. I wasn't really hungry all the time. Uh, Hungry now, it's definitely kind of that throat feeling that they talk about. They kind of feel it in your chest a bit. um I do like to eat, and so I do eat a lot when I eat, but I also take periods of time where I don't eat, maybe for a day and a half or for a couple days, to try to help get my weight down, because I'm trying to lose weight still. So I know that I have to eat a little bit different while trying to lose weight than while maintaining. But and so I don't keep myself hungry though, unless I'm really trying to push my weight down.
Are you familiar with calorie density?
Yes, very much so. A big fan of that. One of the good books that I read about that was The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss
Oh
by
my
Chef
God, I
AJ.
wanted to send you one. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm so inspired by your story, because it's just, I think you're going to give a lot of people hope.
I hope so. I think that it's a lot of work to do, and I knew that going in, that it was going to be a lot of work, and it's about consistency and keeping at it. But yeah, the calorie density, that's really one of the biggest things I learned. I knew that before I read your book, but the idea of eating foods that are under 600 calories per pound, the idea that we eat a volume of food, I've kind of felt that way. I always felt like I was never getting a full enough stomach of food, and that's why I always ate so much. And now, if I want to get a full stomach of food, we'll make a big spinach salad, and instead of using a soup bowl for our salads, we're using mixing bowls for our salads, and eating, we're filling up a large mixing bowl and splitting it in half between me and my wife.
Wow.
So
I love that you understand that, because you can actually eat more and weigh less.
yes, yeah. The throughout this whole thing, there's been days where I have felt like I gorged myself. Like I just ate a bunch of brown rice noodles and tomato sauce for dinner, like had 2 or 3 servings of it. And then I got on the scale the next day and I was still 1.5 pounds down. And I just couldn't believe that that was the case after eating so much food.
Isn't it the best? I love
Yeah.
calorie density personally.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it really, uh, it's really done you know, it's unfortunate that I have to cut some things out that I'd love to have, but someday I'll have avocado again. But while I'm trying to lose weight, I can hold off from having it.
But you're not afraid to eat starch, are you? Like potatoes,
No,
rice,
no,
beef.
I eat all kinds of rice, right? Spanish rice and beans, potatoes. Yeah, I probably eat more starches than I should, I suppose. But yeah, I like starches a lot.
So what does your family think of your transformation? And are they eating pretty healthfully now too?
Yeah. The when I was water fasting, my wife was, you know, supportive of me doing that. And then about halfway through the water fast, I uh kind of came in the house and was like, hey, I think we should eat a whole food plant-based diet. I started reading or listening to on audiobook The Pleasure Trap, and was like, we should eat this way, because my wife is overweight as well. And so she jumped right on board because I was still fasting, and she started eating a plant-based diet really 10 days before I started eating a plant-based diet, so she could start getting an idea of recipes and meals and things like that. And then for the first 2 to 3 months, we were making, you know, Carrie, my wife, was making meals for us and then making separate meals for the kids. And at the time, we were still feeding our kids kind of the same foods that they used to eat. They would still have hot dogs, or they would still have chicken patties. And it was about 2 to 3 months in that I kind of was like, you know, I'm reading these books and I'm seeing all this information. And if I truly believe that this is the healthiest diet for us that we should be eating, then us continuing to feed our kids a different diet, we're harming them in a sense. And so we've switched our kids to eating a vegan diet, I guess. We still have some of that processed stuff because we want them to eat, you know, because it's weird, you know, like I have 4 kids. I have a son that's 10, a daughter that's 9, and then we have twins that are 5 years old. And sort of like somebody who's addicted to like a drug will go without something until they can get that drug again. Our kids are kind of that way with sugar. Like if they would rather not eat something that's perfectly fine to eat if they think there's a chance that they're going to get a popsicle later, you know, like. And so but so we're still making kind of 2 meals, but every now and then, like, we have one of our favorite things is called mega veggie chili, and it's just a bunch of just cans of different things put into a bowl, and we'll have the same dinner now. Like there's occasions where my wife will want to make something that she knows our kids don't enjoy, so then we might have some Gardein fake meat or fake fish fillets or something that we make them, but they eat a lot of what we eat now, you know.
Nice.
It's very similar.
What have they said about your incredible transformation?
Oh, I mean, they definitely notice it. I always thought I was a fun dad and I played with them, but I definitely do a lot more playing with them. Like last night, for example, my daughter is in this rec league soccer that's just for, you know, she's in like the 3rd and 4th grader group, or 2nd and 3rd grader, whatever. But And they had at practice, they did a thing where the parents played against the kids. It was like the last practice of the year. And so they kind of did this thing where, you know, it was us versus the kids. And 2 years ago, I wouldn't have even gone to the practice. And last night I was one of the parents that was running around the most, kind of playing with the kids. And so they definitely get a more playful, fun me than they did before.
Nice. When you broke your 42-day fast, do you remember what you broke it on?
Yes, I wouldn't recommend it, but it was mushrooms and onions.
You
It
didn't do
was,
the, because at True North, they do like some juices and then they do some
I did,
watermelon.
I did have juice as well, but for whatever reason, the whole time I was fasting and then decided to switch. I was like, I want some mushrooms and onions. And then it wasn't near as satisfying as I expected it to be. But I did have some juices, like an apple. I can't remember. I did a video, actually. I recorded myself eating for the first time on my YouTube channel, just kind of at my desk.
I'm requesting people subscribe to your channel. Tell us a little bit about it, when you started it, what kind of content can they find on it?
Yeah, so I started the channel when I started this on November of 2020. I started the channel with two kind of goals in mind. The first goal was that I was going to do something for 3 years, because in the past it was always, I felt like it was my lack of commitment for time that kept me from losing weight. I had one experience in 2013 where I lost over 100 pounds in 9 months. But then at the end of that, again, that was something where I was taking a prescription that was helping with my appetite, and everything fell apart once that prescription ended. And I felt like I really needed to focus on the time more than anything. Even if I was on a diet for a month and I decided that that wasn't the diet I was going to go stick to, I would switch to something. It was more about focusing on my health for 3 years. And then the other focus was to lose 300 pounds. Because a lot of times I would set a goal to lose 30 pounds or 50 pounds or to get under 300. And those are all great goals. And a lot of times I would achieve those goals. I would hit those milestones, but then I'd look in the mirror and I'm still looking at somebody who is still in the morbid obese category or the obese category. And this time I was like, I need to set a goal that gets me down to like what a healthy weight for me would be. And 220 is still considered overweight, but I kind of factored in loose skin and muscle and so that was the two big goals: to do this for 3 years, to lose 300 pounds. And then I go live pretty much every weekday for about a half hour to an hour. And I just kind of give a snapshot of the last 24 hours of my life or the weekend, and just kind of talk about what I ate, what I've been reading. And, I've read over a dozen books in the past year and a half on, plant-based diets or just in health in general. And I wanted to record my experience through the process, because a lot of times I would find videos where somebody said, hey, I lost 200 pounds and this is how I did it. But you wouldn't really get a sense for their daily struggles. It sounds great and they have great results, but you didn't see how they did it. And then the other thing I would see is that people would come out of the gate running and just be like, all right, I'm going to eat a 1,200 calorie diet. I'm going to work out twice a day. I'm going to go live, or I'm going to post videos to share everything with you guys. And they would burn out really quick. And so for me, I was like, the easiest thing to do is to hit the button to go live and talk for 30 minutes and then shut it off and then be done with it. I wouldn't have to go back, edit the video and do a lot of other stuff, because I have a lot going on. My family runs a business, and I have a wife and 4 kids and dogs and life, and I didn't want to spend too much time on it.
Yeah, well, I think that having that channel must keep you accountable in addition to inspiring other people.
Right. And that accountability is a big thing that I talk about on my stream, is that for years I tried to hold myself accountable. I would be like, hey, today's the day that I'm going to start my diet. And I would drive into work, and by the time I got to work, I'd already have stopped and grabbed fast food. And then the next place you usually go is to your family. and they're great senses of accountability for a while, but after a while, your family doesn't want to nag you. So like if I was on a diet and I was doing good for a couple weeks and then I would slip up, maybe my wife would say something. And if that didn't change my actions, she wouldn't keep nagging me about it. And so they'll hold you accountable, but not as long as you almost need. And so for me, starting this channel was a way to create that accountability. And what I also know that is I've done some awesome stuff so far, but I'm not to my goal yet. And so kind of the accountability that I hold on to is the people that haven't found my channel yet and that are going to stumble across it maybe a year from now or even 5 years from now, because it's going to be on YouTube for as long as I leave it there, but essentially indefinitely, it'll always be there. And so I want those people to be able to see a full story, that they can get on there, they can see from the start, and they can see all the way to 3 years. At the end of 3 years, I don't know that I would like to think I'll keep doing this, but I know I've only told myself I have to do it for 3 years, because I want to, like creating a book, like writing a book. It's my video journal,
Nice. What was the hardest thing about weighing over 500 pounds?
Putting shoes on, tying my shoes, going to the bathroom, going up a flight of steps. There's a lot of things that were difficult. Just the mental part of it too was real difficult. I feel I'm a fairly social person. I like to talk to people, but for the last couple years, my wife would say I was a hermit, like I wouldn't really want to go to my kids' school functions because they go to the same school district that I went to school in. So a lot of times when I go to these things, it's like a high school reunion. I run into kids I went to high school with, and I didn't really want them. I would rather them remember me being the 300-pound overweight high school kid than the 500-pound, 40 or well, I'm 40 now, but yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Have you seen a doctor at all during your weight loss journey?
I did. It was, I think I was around 390 when I saw just my general practitioner. And she was very interested in what I was doing. I'd already fasted and been eating this way for a little while. But I wanted to get my blood work done, and everything with my blood work came back perfectly normal. I've never really had a bad blood test though. Like even when I was overweight, I never had I avoided the doctor for like 8 years though. So if I'd have gone to the doctor a year and a half ago, I probably would have been diagnosed with pre-diabetes or something and was just too afraid to actually go.
Yeah. What changed? Like because you woke up on November or October 31st and like, did you just say, this is it?
No, I planned to start my channel. Like I planned to do, like, I knew I needed to do something, and using YouTube as my accountability platform was something that I worked at doing. And so it was, I had set a date pretty much through the month of October, and I had bought some camera stuff and some lighting stuff and was like, I'm going to do this YouTube thing. And again, I thought I was going to be talking a lot about fasting, and I do talk about fasting. It draws a lot of people, the idea of fasting. And so at the inception of my channel, I thought I would be doing like rolling fasts or doing, 5 days of fasting, 2 days of eating, or trying to use fasting more in my diet. And now I do fast. Like I fasted. So I turned 40 last Thursday. And one of my goals was to get under 300 pounds by the time I was 40. And I had to fast for a couple days to get under 300 pounds by the time I turned 40. But
your birthday's Cinco de Mayo?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Nice.
it is.
Well, happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
So what's the best part of having lost over 200 pounds?
Oh, there's so much. The mobility is amazing. The the flexibility, the being able to, like I said, the worst parts was being able to tie my shoes and go to the bathroom, and those things aren't a problem anymore. My sleep, the sleep apnea, I had very severe sleep apnea. I wear a machine that the setting was at like 18 psi, which is really high, or I don't know if it's psa, but like it had a range of 20. The highest they could do was 20, and I got prescribed at 18. And I think the only reason they prescribed me at 18 was because they wanted to have room to adjust it up if 18 wasn't enough. And I don't wear a machine at all now. I don't. I haven't been tested with it, but it was noticeable what I had going on before that. Because for every 60 seconds I was asleep, 30 seconds of them I wasn't breathing. And so not having to wear that machine at night for my sleep apnea has been a huge improvement. And really just getting in and out of cars, going up a flight of steps, my heart, one of the things I got shortly before I started doing this was this Garmin watch that it tracks my heartbeat. And if I would walk up a flight of steps, my heart rate would shoot up to like 120 to 130 beats per minute. And now it doesn't really shoot up at all when I go up a flight of steps.
That's amazing. Did you during your weight loss phase, or are you doing now any kind of discernible exercise or movement?
Not right now. So when about this time last year, I had decided that I wanted to do something activity wise. I was feeling really good. My mobility got better, and I thought about doing like a 5K. And just because for whatever reason, I was like, maybe a 5K is not enough. And so I signed up and I did a sprint triathlon. And what that was a 400-meter swim, a 15-mile bike ride, and a 5K run. And I gave myself 42 days to get ready for it. And so I trained for that month and a half to do that 5K. The week after the 5K, I tore my distal bicep tendon, which is the tendon that attaches your bicep at your elbow. And so all of my activity just halted at that point. And then I've never really gotten back into working out. My goal starting this was to lose the weight at the kitchen table, because that's where it has the greatest effect. Is the food that I put in my mouth was going to affect my weight greater than the working out and doing that. But I'll walk the dog, play with the kids. I did soccer with my kids last night. I sort of like they talk about in the Pleasure Trap book, is that I try to make my activity fun, just doing something that is, not going to the gym, standing on a treadmill, staring at myself in a mirror. I'd rather go outside and mow the grass for my workout kind of thing.
It seems like you like to do things in increments of 42 days.
I did the 42. I did that intentional. So after I did the 42-day water fast, and then it just happened to be that when I was looking into this sprint triathlon, the one that was closest to me was exactly 42 days from the day I was Googling triathlons. And I was like, well, it's meant to be that it's 42 days from now. So I should do that. So I called my little brother up and I was like, hey, I think I want to do this triathlon. You have any interest in doing it? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Because he was looking for something to motivate himself. And now he's signed up to do a triathlon in Colorado this July. So he's been doing a lot of working out to do that. He kind of got the bug.
Right. You mentioned that at one point you were on a weight loss drug. Was that given to you just by a primary doctor, or did you actually see an obesity specialist?
So there is, he did end up becoming my primary care physician, but there was a doctor that in 2013, he was advertising that he had a medical weight loss group. And I went and I saw him. I was 415 pounds at the time. And he had a program where there was something that I injected into my stomach, like a vitamin B shot or something. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but the big thing about that program was that I started taking a prescription of Phentermine, and I would take a half a pill in the morning and a half a pill at lunch, and then eat my dinner. And that was just an awful thing. Like at the time I thought I was doing great. I actually went on television with the doctor at a local TV show and like promoted his program because I was so happy with how my results were. And they were great. I lost like 115 pounds in 9 months, I think, doing that. But I was taking that pill, and then my diet was horrible. Like I would not eat all day, and then on the way home from work, I'd stop at a gas station. I'd buy a regular Kit Kat bar and a small thing of Pringles. And then when I got home, I would eat like a kielbasa, like in those packages or whatever. And that was the extent of my diet. I was eating like 600, 800 calories, and I was doing that for 9 months. And it just wasn't sustainable. And in the second I was off that, I was in the fast food drive, like buying ridiculous amounts of food and gaining it back. So that was something. This time I wanted it to be me. I didn't want to be on any shakes. I didn't want to be on any pills. I didn't want to be on any programs where I had to rely on somebody sending me specific meals. I wanted to figure it out, because at the end of the day, those programs could end. That prescription, I was no longer like my doctor couldn't prescribe that to me anymore because there was issues with potential side effects, So
Yeah. Did you, when you were on the weight loss drug, or the first time that you water fasted and you didn't end it with a whole food plant-based SOS free diet, did you end up gaining the weight back that you lost?
very, very quickly. Like I lost 60 pounds in a month, and within 2 months, I probably had gained most of that 60 pounds back. And then a year and a half later, I was another 60 pounds heavier when I started this, and so it didn't do me any favors to do that water fast and not come off of it with a plan.
Right. Did you ever consider gastric bypass surgery or one of the other weight loss surgeries?
Yeah, this was last resort. This channel, starting this YouTube thing, this was the if this doesn't work, then I'm calling the doctor up and we're doing that. Because ever since I've been 20 years old, I've really had in the back of my head that I could call a doctor and get gastric bypass any day, because I was healthy enough. Like I said, I never had any blood work or any chronic diseases. And if I needed to lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds to prove to the doctor that that's what I needed to do to lose weight, like they do on the TV shows, that I would have no problem doing that. But I didn't want to cut into myself like that. I didn't want to change my body's physiology. I feel like we've evolved from hundreds or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years. Like we were designed this way for a purpose, and to change that, I really wanted to avoid that. But
yeah. I'm hoping that people will find your channel that are desperate like you were, and do what you did. Not maybe even necessarily water fast on their own for 6 weeks, but do the whole food plant-based diet, SOS free. What could you say to people that were in your shoes to give them hope?
You got to get started, like that's a tough thing. And it's going to be a long process. You have to put that out, you have to realize that it's going to be a long process, but you just need to be confident that you can do it. Like you have the strength within you to stick to a program and to find something, and especially with this whole food plant-based diet, I really don't ever feel like I am restricting myself heavily. Like I'm not, like from the outside, when you say a whole food plant-based salt, oil, sugar-free diet, people think bland, they think boring, and it's really not at all. I have tried so many things that I never would have tried before. And the things that I didn't like before, I love now. Like I hated cucumbers. Like I love pickles, but I really didn't like cucumbers. Now, when we have our salads, the the cucumber is my favorite part of the salad because it's this big hit of water inside of it, and so, but there's a lot of resources out there too, like, and so you're not alone, like yeah, but getting started is the first thing you got to do.
Do you ever worry that you could gain the weight back?
All the time. Yeah. But I don't know that it would be possible to gain the weight back eating this diet. I mean, like I could, the times where I have, if I eat a lot of avocado, if I eat a lot of cashews, if I don't worry about calorie density, then I could see the weight coming back. But now that I'm not eating processed foods, I don't see myself going back to eating processed foods. Like there's kind of this cat's out of the bag kind of thing. And like, I never intended to be pushing a vegan diet on people, but now that I've gone 18 months without having to harm animals to eat, then I like when I go to I went to the grocery store the other day, and it's hard to walk by the meat section and just kind of be like, when I see that ground beef in a completely different way now than I did a year and a half ago. So right now I don't worry about gaining the weight back, and I am as confident as I've ever been in any diet that eventually I will be my goal weight. Like, even if I don't do it in 3 years, if it takes 6 years or it takes 10 years, I'll be at my goal weight,
Well, even if you don't get to some magic number, just know how great you look right now. I think.
Yeah.
Amazing. So just keep that in mind. And Kathy wants to know if you have an accountability buddy. I'm guessing your YouTube channel is your.
Yeah. Anybody that wants to come on my YouTube channel. I have a Discord I created too, which I think is a nice place that people can kind of share if they don't want to be very public about things. And then my accountability buddy is my wife. I mean, like that would be the person that I would be accountable to, and she controls what I eat most of the time. So that's easy.
Nice. So the next question, Jonathan, is not because you've lost 220 pounds. Almost every guest on Chef AJ Live gets this question, but I'm particularly interested in your situation.
Okay.
Like, what do you eat in a day, for example?
Well, usually we start with oatmeal. For a long time, we would have oatmeal that was bananas and apples. And then I read your book, The Secret to Ultimate Weight Loss, and we actually switched our oatmeal to more savory oatmeal. So we do spinach and mushrooms and things like that in the oatmeal. I generally don't eat during the day. I actually unintentionally dry fast because my office has awful water, and I just don't eat. I don't get hungry. I usually eat oranges in the morning too, which kind of gives me a little bit of water. And so I don't usually eat throughout the day from like 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. And then when I come home, my wife makes a lot of great meals. Mega Veggie Chili is one of them. We have a lot of the cookbooks, like the Engine 2 cookbook, the Plant Powered Families cookbook, that we've, like Linda's Meatloaf is something from Engine 2 that we've had a lot of. There's an autumn loaf. They're usually pretty complex dinners, but if we want to be simple, we'll just eat Spanish rice and beans, or something like that. And it's kind of a lot of what I eat, I guess.
Nice. Well, maybe there's a cookbook in your future.
And maybe my wife's future, not me. Like a lot of the meals we get, I mean, it's just throwing stuff together, and like I said, the Mega Veggie Chili is probably the one that has been the staple since the beginning. And what I like to share about that is that I didn't like it the first time I had it. Like when we first started this, I was not a huge fan of it because I just didn't feel like it. I don't know, well, for whatever reason. But about 3 weeks into the diet, we had it again for dinner, and I was eating it. And I just said to my wife, I was like, I know this is the same thing we had 2 weeks ago, but this is amazing, and it's one of those meals that, we tweak it based on what we have in the cupboard. Like some days we'll have green peas in it, or some days we'll have mushrooms in it. And it just kind of, but I have such a different relationship with food now that I just eat what's there. I don't really worry about getting joy from my food. Like I enjoy food, but it's not where I get my joy.
I love that. That's wonderful. You have a lot of great sayings today. Do you ever miss sugar? There's a question.
Right. Yeah. Probably the one, like, of the salt, oil, and sugar. Sugar is the one that's been the toughest for me. I'm human. I have not been perfect in the past 18 months. I lost a lot of my weight in the first 9 months. And then these past 9 months, I tore my distal bicep tendon, and that kind of threw things off. And we did some, it was a weird, like, I didn't intend to eat this way. And so I kind of think subconsciously I was worried that there was going to be foods that I was going to get to my goal weight, and then I was going to start eating these other vegan foods, and I wasn't going to enjoy them. And so for a few months there at the end of 2021, we would try different things. Like, and so, so we would have like a vegan pizza or something like that. And then at the beginning of this year, I kind of recommitted and realized that I don't care if I ever have that stuff again, you know? But the question was sugar. Sugar's the toughest. Yes, 100%. I could give up salt. I have such a disdain for sodium now, that's one of the things that surprises me, that I don't have any interest in having anything with salt in it. But, you know, something with sugar in it, I would definitely have a harder time with.
Great. Well, I'm very just so pleased with your success and proud of you. And I'm sure you're really proud of yourself. And you just must feel great, not just physically from not having that weight, but just, you know, to do what you did is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. And it's hard, you know, like you kind of asked if I was worried I'd gain the weight back. And it's a weird thing because I've lost like 40% of myself. You know, this 220 pounds that I've lost is a huge percentage of myself, but I still have 80 pounds to go. And so I'm not there yet, you know, like my before and afters now are awesome. But when I'm 230 pounds, my before and after is going to be mind blowing, you know, like the difference.
Yeah, that's it. And do you think you'll do something about the loose skin?
Right now, my gut is instinct to say no. But I don't know what it's going to be like, you know, because I have loose skin, and it is I have loose skin around my calves, and I never thought I would ever have loose skin around my calves. Like, it's just not somewhere where I had a lot of fat until the last year or two. Like when I got up over 400 pounds and I started retaining water in my legs, I never, and so like that, like it mentally, like when I see loose skin in my calves, I'm kind of like, that sucks that's that way. Not that would ever get fixed. Like I would never, there's no really surgery for that. But, I kind of like, I don't know. My guts to say no, but when I get down to my goal weight, if it becomes a health issue, then I'll address it at that time. But I get asked that question a lot. And for me, you're going to have to live with loose skin. Like if you got yourself to 500 pounds, you already had that loose skin. It was just taut skin when you were 500 pounds. Now, you didn't gain skin because you lost weight.
Question, how tall you are?
I'm 6 foot tall.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't tell because you're,
right. I'm in a chair. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, gosh, I wish you every success. The whole show I've been putting in the chat. Please subscribe to Jonathan's channel. And I will too as well. And maybe let's have you back another time and check in with you from time to time. I can be your accountability channel.
There you go. That would be great. Yeah.
Like every few months saying, well, I better not eat this tub of guacamole because I'm going to be on Chef AJ tomorrow and she's going to ask me.
You don't know how much that affected the last 3 weeks of my life. So Just
well,
this,
good.
just
Well,
this
then,
interview
then
here,
even if we don't have
Yeah.
you on, we'll just schedule you every week.
There you go.
You seem like really a wonderful person and father. And just thank your wife so much for for supporting you, because, so many people that I work with, the spouse just not only isn't supportive, but actually sabotages the person's health and weight loss efforts. So I really thank your wife for being.
Oh yeah, she's been awesome. Really has been amazing. So, yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on here and letting me share what I've had going on. And I will be live here in a couple hours on my channel, because I'll go live in a couple hours. But it's been quite an adventure.
Great. Well, it's so nice to meet you, Jonathan. I hope you'll stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Take care. And thanks
Thank
all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow. The show's going to be at 2 p.m. because I'm going to be on some local news show now that I live up near Sacramento. But my guest has a wonderful new book called The Plant-Based For Life Cookbook, and she's going to be doing a food demo for it. And Jonathan, I hope you like balsamic vinegar, because you're going to get 2 free bottles for being on the show. Thomas Allen is watching, and you can pick any flavor you want, even chocolate.
That's awesome. My wife's been talking about the California balsamic. We've been talking about that because we got that the mustard, the garlic habanero mustard that you talk about.
That's delicious. That's
yes,
Dr. Greger's favorite. Well, you're going to get 2 free bottles of vinegar. And
okay.
so,
That's
all
awesome.
right. Thanks so much. Take care, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Congratulations.